It's early, but get your hands up. Get your hands up. He deserves it.
Up again?
This is early.
We're starting the show?
Yeah.
Not
it's
premature.
It's
This
that
is
important.
this important. Get your hands up.
Is this because Red Zone had a get your hands up reference as well? And
did they?
Yeah, they sure did.
Oh,
They taking us.
it's time for the Good Hands plays presented by Allstate. Jonathan Taylor. You're in good hands with Jonathan Taylor. Today he had 244 yards on the ground, another 42 through the air, 3 touchdowns. It's every week. He has a combined almost 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns on the year. And he brought the Colts back where they just gave him the ball and they won in Berlin. And quite frankly, I have a question for you guys coming off of this overtime victory against the Falcons. And I know this is going to be triggering for you, Bill, but this is for both of you. And I'll start with Domonique on this. Are you starting to think after today's performance,
Yes,
that Jonathan Taylor can win the MVP?
Well, can he or should he is a different question. So, we've had this conversation before. And before we get into the nitty gritty of the MVP award, what the award has come to mean is very literal. And so it's hard to not give it to a quarterback because quarterbacks, even a mediocre quarterback, is probably more valuable than a really good running back. However, there is something to be said for him being the engine of the very best offense in the league and probably the most, they're the best team as far as their record and most of the advanced stats would suggest up until this point. And he's the best player on that team. That's normally enough to get you serious MVP conversation. But it feels like we're just doing the thing where we say he should be an MVP conversation, but there's no chance he can actually get it because it's going to go to Drake May or somebody like that. Right, Bill?
No, he has a shot. Domonique, I have a 3-piece formula for you.
What kind of shot
for how a running back is going to win MVP? Okay. It's actually
Let him give his formula.
My bad. Let's do the formula.
Are you not interested in the Barnwell formula for MVP?
Definitely interested. Interested in the Bilk's formula, the 3-piece Bilk formula. Let's hear it. Do we get a biscuit with this? I don't know.
Number 1, you got to set the single season rushing record. Okay. Jonathan Taylor on pace for 1936. That is not the single season rushing record, but gets hot, continues to play this way. Had a rough week last week. That kind of got him off track, but he's back on track this week after playing the Falcons. So keeps it up, sets a single season rushing record. He's in the conversation. Number 2, you got to score a lot of touchdowns for a good team. Colts are the favorites to win the AFC South. The Jaguars gave them some help today by completely melting down in the final 8 minutes of that game against the Texans. So they have a big lead. They could be the 1 seed potentially in the AFC if that happens. And Jonathan Taylor racks up 20, 25 touchdowns. That's the kind of profile that gives you an MVP nod. And the third one, and this is the most important one.
Yeah.
Your quarterback's got to be a little stinky. And I'll tell you what, I don't want to say he was looking at gas stations to manage after this game on the flight back, but Daniel Jones did not play all that great in this game. And earlier in the year, I think we would have had people making the case of, hey, why are we going to give the MVP to Jonathan Taylor when we got a perfectly fine kind of boring white guy at quarterback there? Well, now that boring white guy is not really playing all that well. So the path is opening up for the player to get recognized from this great offense, not as Daniel Jones, but strictly as Jonathan Taylor.
Beyond that, by the way, I think you're going to talk about you're talking about the quarterback on his team. It's the quarterbacks in the league. If there was last year, Saquon, I think, was really hampered by the fact that those are historic seasons by both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, probably the 2 best seasons of each of their career, which I think was disqualifying for anyone but one of those elite quarterbacks to win it. This year, I'm not taking anything away from Drake May or Mahomes or Josh Allen or the other guys at the top or Stafford.
Like you're taking a few things away.
Yeah, a little bit. But
those are just right now. They're having excellent seasons.
You're taking
not historic
away
seasons. I mean, they got enough of them, except for Drake May.
Yeah.
He'll have more coming. But I do think that matters. And I don't think it's a year-to-year comparison. I don't think it should the thing that I obviously need to have a historic thing, and LT's 31 touchdowns in the season is actually not off the table for Jonathan Taylor, which is insane to say because I thought that was a record that seemed borderline unbreakable for a skill position player. But I actually think one of the fool's errand of this is comparing it year to year to running backs. Well, Saquon didn't win it last year. Well, it's not. You actually are compared to your competition year to year, and I think the bigger case would be CMC 2 years ago when Lamar won his second MVP, because Lamar was not as good that year as he was last year. But still, like this Taylor season, no one expected this from the Colts offense. And that part of the narrative, this is still a narrative award, makes him is a huge part of this.
It's less of a narrative award though. Like I think that there's the problem is that the
quarterback narrative.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I get it. So like if you could separate the quarterback out and you could change the name of the award, then maybe you have a chance, because I think you could easily make the argument that Jonathan Taylor is like the most important player of the season this year. But when you start talking about value, like as much as I want to make the argument for Jonathan Taylor being the most valuable, it's hard. It's almost impossible to make an argument that he's more valuable than a quarterback. And you could look at his own team and see that the results of this season are largely on how good he's played, but also they got a quarterback. And that's why, like, they had a similar team last year with a bad quarterback. They have the same team this year with a good quarterback.
How dare you?
Oh, my bad. I forgot that you are the last remaining.
I'm a Stanthony Richardson.
I mean, he'll have a resurgence somewhere else at some point, but he wasn't good last year. He wasn't consistent, at least. I think we all could agree.
Oh, he sucked, dude. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I think
he was consistent. He was incredibly consistent.
No, he did awesome things. He did really cool things on occasion.
He had one throw.
There was only one. I feel like there was like three. It was only one.
That was so sick, though.
That was
so nice.
Yeah, so I don't know. I get it. I feel like reshaping all the awards and talking about that is a whole nother ball of wax that nobody wants to get into. But like it's very weird because we do MVP differently than we do Offensive Player of the Year, which like makes sense because Offensive Player of the Year is often not a quarterback, it's someone else. But like NFL Player of the Year is what we give, is like that's the MVP, but it's not actually the Player of the Year, because I think you could make an argument, not make an argument. I think so far this season, the most impressive player has been Jonathan Taylor.
But there's two different conversations happening here, right? Like last time a running back won MVP, it was Adrian Peterson.
Right.
Do you remember who his quarterback was? Charlie?
It wasn't a Keenum or a Skelton or someone.
A Ponder?
No, it was Christian Ponder.
There we go. Nailed it.
Sure, a nice guy. He was overmatched when it came to being a National Football League quarterback. And so if we get the last 2 weeks version of Daniel Jones, who seems aggressively like he's turning into a pumpkin, and he's that guy for the rest of the season, and Jonathan Taylor is carrying them to victories, people are not going to look and say, oh, well, Daniel Jones was great in the first half of the year. They're going to say, oh my God, Daniel Jones is falling apart at the seams, and Jonathan Taylor is keeping this team's chances of making it into the playoffs alive. Like, that is I think the best case for Jonathan Taylor is that Daniel Jones continues to struggle, and we're thinking about Daniel Jones in this offense very differently than we did the first half of the season.
I think standalone games matter too. Like, this was today, watching him be the best player on that field by such a wide margin, 194 yards after contact. This was like, I'm not calling him a Hall of Famer. This was like an all-time great, like gold jacket type running back game, the way that he did it with the yards after contact.
Yeah.
And that stuff really matters with it too. And Bill, I want to know what you think about this, but the comparison for the way that this offense is run, and I'm not saying it's 1-to-1, but there are some vibes of Daniel Jones that feel like Tennessee Ryan Tannehill, where it was like, this is like this guy who's like the advanced metrics say is a better quarterback, but like the tape guys and the ball knowers, like there's still significant limitations here. And what it felt like today, as that game got closer and closer and the lead seesawed, was it was actually quite obvious that they were going to win that game or lose that game on the back of Jonathan Taylor. And I know Daniel Jones had the long run. He had the throw to Tyler Warren.
Oh, Tyler Warren's so good.
I'm not taking anything out of it, but it felt like Derrick Henry on the Titans to an extent where it's like game script, throw it out the window. Like, our best player is getting the ball consistently down the stretch of these games. And that's a very unique place to be. And that feels quite similar to Derrick Henry or Adrian Peterson early in his career. And that's something that doesn't happen often in high-powered modern offenses.
But the difference was with Ryan Tannehill, he was hitting shot plays. It wasn't like he was just doing a ton. Like, he was only throwing 20, 22 passes a game. Daniel Jones was actively making the Colts worse in this game.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
That's the difference is like,
except for the bloody lip.
Except for the bloody lip. But if he's just like a kind of efficient, like really low volume passer, then yes, that'll be a Tannehill thing. They'll take away from the case. And I don't think that'll help. But if Daniel Jones is like taking 6 sacks, or I don't know how many sacks he took in this game, but he's taking a bunch of sacks and he he took 7 sacks in this game, excuse me. If he turns the ball over twice a game, like, then it's like, oh no, Jonathan Taylor is actively beating this man who is sabotaging the Colts' chances. That, to me, is a much stronger case than the Daniel Jones just being kind of the Ryan Tannehill, where he's, kind of just like a high efficiency, gonna throw like 1 pass every quarter kind of guy.
The point you made about the standalone games is a good one, because I think that those like are really loud moments that stick with everyone's opinion and the voters. And they only have one on the schedule right now that's 8-15 against the 49ers. But they got the Seahawks and they got the Chiefs next week. And I think that those type of big time games, if he goes off against the Chiefs, if he has 200 plus against the Chiefs, and no, Charlie, we discussed.
I can't do it. The computer's in front of me.
Charlie trying to do the Jonathan Taylor like touchdown, skipping into the end zone.
It's so cool.
Dance. It is very cool, and it immediately becomes uncool.
Nah, I'm cool.
You try to do it.
Nah, I'm cool.
You're not cool. You're not cool. Me and Bill are cooler than you.
I derailed you. Continue.
No, I mean, I think the point is those games matter a great deal. How they play in those, how he plays in those games. If he had a game like he had against the Colts, against the Chiefs,
against the Falcons.
I mean, he just had against the Falcons, where it's 240 yards on the ground and overtime drive that's on his back against the Chiefs at 1:00 next week. I think we start to reconsider how realistic it is for him to win the MVP.
You have Taylor Swift. You see her like mouthing in the box, being like, "Holy, this guy's good." He's 5-1 to win the MVP right now. He's just behind Drake May and Matthew Stafford. If you're looking at the pace, and we'll go through some of the actual specifics of this game in a second, but if you're going through some of the narrative-based cases, which is the one that's most compelling to you? Upstart second-year quarterback Drake May, who's taken a team that had the 4th pick in the draft to a potential 1 seed in the AFC. Matthew Stafford, where it's someone who career achievement to he's old, or Taylor.
With this,
I mean, Matthew Stafford's numbers this season: 2,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's nasty.
What was that?
I don't know. It just came out. I got excited by Matthew Stafford's arm ankles, and he's nasty.
Arm ankles?
Angles, not arm ankles. By the way, so do you have a narrative choice?
I mean, I think that I think Drake May. I had lower expectations for this Patriots team than what they're doing right now. And given that the Bills took a step back, they have a chance to win their division. Drake May probably, like, the narrative as far as a team being ahead of schedule and a player impacting it the most. Like, I think from a narrative standpoint, Jonathan Taylor Drake May is going to be a tough out. And then on top of it, Drake May plays quarterback.
What about the old guy, like gray beard?
Yeah, I think it's a little... Because there is less of a surprise factor. Like, I think Matt Stafford's incredible and he's having a great year. But I think if you're just asking for a narrative, I think that we expected the Rams to be good. Matt Stafford's offense.
He was in an Airstream. We didn't even know if he was going to play to start the year. They cryogenically froze his spine during camp.
Yes, there was a better chance Matthew Stafford was going to retire than he was going to be playing at this level at the midway point of the season, based on how he felt in August.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I still think when you talk about narrative, it's like the most surprising is essentially what you're asking is like, who has surprised us, given us the biggest, like,
most heartwarming, most exciting.
I mean, that's all the same. It's like surprise. And I think the most surprising to me is not Jonathan Taylor or Matt Stafford. And you're right. The injury, we were concerned about him missing early portions of the season. But the most surprising is what Drake May is doing. Him and Vrabel are doing there. And I guess,
Bill, I need to call out Domonique for a second.
Uh-oh.
Please.
Before the show,
we
assumed that you were going to say Jonathan Taylor could not win the MVP. And Domonique was like, I'm ready to have this argument to defend Jonathan Taylor winning the MVP. And then you came out with your proprietary formula.
I'm scared.
And he was like, can I agree with the Bilk? No, I cannot. I have to completely change how I actually feel about the topic.
I don't like math. You had a formula on me. Actually, I kind of like math. It's great. So you want me to argue something?
No, I wanted you to give your actual opinion.
Yeah. My actual opinion is that is what I said, is that valuable is impossible for a running back to win. I think if we could measure something else, then we can make an argument for Jonathan Taylor. But then when you start thinking about what Drake May is doing, I actually don't really believe what I told y'all I believe. I'm sorry, I changed my mind.
That's fair. By the way, there's a non-zero chance that JT doesn't even win Offensive Player of the Year. Like,
Yeah.
You give it to,
like to Jackson
I
Smith
just
and
did my
Jigba.
midseason awards and gave it to Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was uncoverable for a quarter of the game before he left for a concussion test.
Yeah.
And by the time he came back, the Seahawks are up 117 points and didn't throw the ball again.
I mean, going into this game, he was averaging like 4.4 yards per route run.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, if he runs a route, they get halfway to a first down.